here back with some more Idle Heroes, and today we're going to be going over the best artifacts to use in the game. Now, these are ones that you're going to strive to turn into splendid artifacts. Of course, a lot of these have uses as their regular version that are lower upgraded, but going from glittery, radiant, and splendid upwards, they just have so much more value in the game, and that is ultimately your goal, is to save up as many artifacts as possible, turn them into splendid, and make your heroes as powerful as possible. So we're going to go over every single splendid capable main artifact here. We're not going to be going over flags or anything like that because those are pretty self-explanatory. They're just for tenants, just for stats, things like that. But these ones right here are going to have a pretty good punch based on their value. So we're going to start with the oldest ones, kind of work to some newer ones, talk about each one, give them a rank, and hopefully help you guys out decide which artifacts to use, because I'll also try to mention who they are good for as well. Hopefully you guys enjoy this one. Let's jump right into it. So for this one, we are going to go for the simple type of tier list. We're not going to be ranking them in all different game modes. We're just going to talk about the overall usability of these because, well, you want things that are pretty flexible for a lot of different game modes. So let's start off this list with one of my old school favorites, and still I find some uses for it occasionally. That is an upgraded Augustus Magic Ball. So this artifact right here is amazing in the fact that it gives speed, it gives attack, and it gives block, which might be helpful for your heroes if you do have a Hyperspace Hunter Island Mock on your team too, providing shields whenever your hero blocks an attack. That way, the rest of his build, his imprints, all that, he can be very offensive and not worry about block chance whatsoever, especially if you don't have much of a treasure trade. It's kind of like a mid-tier artifact. It's not one I would strive or actively pursue. If for some reason you do accumulate some of these from some random events, it's not too bad. But really, there are no random artifacts anymore like in the olden days. You pretty much get what you want from chests. It's an okay one. It does, of course, provide damage reduction based on a percentage of your attack, which can be cool. But if the enemies are significantly stronger than you, it feels like it doesn't really do anything. So as far as overall uses, it's okay, but not anywhere god tier. What is god tier, and is going to be one of the artifacts I put in S tier, is going to be Splendid Antlers Cane. And honestly, that's because it's got more value nowadays than it used to. It used to mainly just be an artifact you use on your heroes when you're going up against bosses. Anything that goes past like round 6, round 7, if you are needing to go into those rounds, this is the best offensive artifact for heroes like Lord of Graspman, Lord of Sparkles, any of the heroes that are going very, very longevity battles. This is going to be the best damaging one. However, it doesn't give any energy round 1, so you're not going to be getting actives immediately unless you have some allies that are going before you. Even in things like Void Invasion bosses, those battles are going 15 rounds, and therefore it's better than some of the other artifacts you can choose from. It is just become so much stronger because you even potentially use it in like some Void campaign, Void Invasion bosses, Star Expedition, regular bosses, Void Arc. I mean, there's just so many game modes it's useful in that I think it's really, really gained a ton of value. The next one on the list is the newest artifact, Auspicious Lucky Cat. Now, this one's kind of cool because it has control immunity, it has HP, and it has speed on it, which is just really cool. It doesn't have energy, however, but what it does do is when your hero uses a basic or active skill, you're going to apply these gold and silver ingots that are either going to give, you know, some damage reduction or damage abilities. It's going to give you some damage reduction similar to what the Augustus Magic Ball does. It is flexible, however, just one of them on your account isn't godly, which is why I'm not putting it any higher. I do think it's still a very strong artifact to have. If you do run like 3 or 4 of them, it can be very strong. It's not tanky enough in the early rounds because it was nerfed. It used to just instantly the battle began, it would put those ingots on your heroes. I guess they thought that was too strong, so they took that ability away, which is sad. Otherwise, it really would be an S tier item. So just keep that in mind. It is decent. Now, one artifact that is kind of powerful in the early game but drops off significantly is Lucky Candy Bar, but I kind of want to bump it up higher only and only if you guys care about Star Expedition. If you don't care about Star Expedition, it's pretty much a D tier artifact. However, if you do care about Star Expedition, you're going to need 3 of these on your account for your support heroes around your Lord of Fear Aspen. So keep that in mind. It's very good because it basically makes it so that the first type of CC that affects you, you're immune to. You're also immune to stun effects, and you get some attack and HP. So it's well rounded. However, it is a very, very, very niche artifact. Honestly, I'll put it towards the bottom here. Maybe we should, you know, I'm gonna put it in C tier, I think, just because it's better in Star Expedition. It's not necessarily at all on other things, so yeah, keep that in mind. Next up probably is the best overall artifact in the game, and that is Golden Crown. Why? Because in the first round of battle, you're getting like 75% all damage reduction. It's interesting how the calculations work. Just know it's very, very strong. For the first 5 rounds, it slowly tiers down on how much all damage reduction you are getting. But if you're looking for a tanky artifact, it is by far the best one. Attack, HP, all damage reduction. The Splendid, Radiant, and Glittery versions give more all damage reduction. It's very good. It is the most well-rounded artifact you could ever have on your account. And it is the best round 1 artifact if you need your hero suit 5. So keep that in mind. After that, we are going to go to some energy artifacts here. First one being the Demon Bell. So the Demon Bell is amazing because when you get it to Splendid, it feeds 20 energy to all allies, plus a chance to give an additional 10. Essentially, if you have 4 of these on your team, you have a permanent energy feed. Pretty much. Technically, you need like 5 of them. It is pretty solid. It is a nice one. It gives attack, HP, so it's nice, well-rounded stats if you're still using that hero as a tenant. And it's pretty cool. It feeds some energy. However, in order for that energy to be fed, they need to use an active skill. If they use basic attack, it doesn't do anything. Whereas the other one is the second newest artifact, Elusive Mirror. This one gives energy at the end of a round, which technically it gives at the beginning of a round, but it's only 15 energy, which means you can't really run even an entire 5 squad hero setup with this. Plus this, it does give control immunity, and it does give all damage dealt, which is kind of a cool little bonus here on this one. If you can run a combination of these two with like your Lord of Fear Aspen and PvE game modes, that's kind of optimal, honestly. If you run like 3 Demon Bells and 2 mirrors, that is optimal, and that should get you to 100 energy every single round. But sometimes the hero order is very, very important. It can be good. It can be kind of lacking in other situations. So very, very strong in combination. Energy feed is still a thing nowadays, and it is very, very strong. Next up, we're going to be putting a purple gilded fan up here. So this one is really strong if you have heroes that have shields, because when you have a shield with this artifact, you're essentially getting 50% all damage reduction all the time. However, once you lose those shields, you have 0 all damage reduction. The nice little bonus is if you have no shields at the end of the round, it'll automatically generate 30% of your HP as a shield. So it's a nice heal type effect for heroes that might not have much of a heal effect. So it's very, very strong, but it's not one I would go for immediately. It is more niche. It's better on heroes like potentially Doom Terminator Vulcan. Heroes that still want all damage dealt bonuses, but don't necessarily want to go the full tanky route on a hero. It does have some cool things about it. Keep that in mind. The next one going down in the C tier as well is going to be Kiss of Ghost. So Kiss of Ghost is really unique. It has one of the best attack and HP stat lines in the game outside of flags. But what it also has is 100% armor break, which is pretty unique. And when you get it to Glittery, Radiant, and Splendid, it also lets you heal based on the damage you're dealing. Sadly, though, it just falls flat compared to everything else in the game, because usually this alone doesn't make a hero that can't heal very viable. It can, in very unique situations, be very helpful, but the fact that there's no damage reduction associated with it as well just means you go for the heroes like Doom Terminator Vulcan, Lord of Fear Aspen, the ones that can already heal, and then you go with the better tier artifacts up here. So again, keep that in mind. Just beware. Probably one of the lowest tier ones I'm going to put on here is Wildfire Torch, and that's mainly because there's only a handful of times I've ever used this on my account. Basically takes any incoming damage and converts it into a dot. At the end of the round, it will basically get rid of dots, or lower the damage of dots that you're receiving. However, it doesn't lower the damage of the dot it creates. Yeah, kind of sucks. Next up is going to be Melodic Strings. I'm actually going to put it as one of the top artifacts in the game. It gives energy, it gives all damage dealt, it gives you extreme, like 50% additional all damage dealt in the first round. It is one of the most offensive artifacts in the game, and essentially is a game between which one you use, Antlers, Cane, or Melodic Strings. Essentially, if you're going past like round 7 in combat, Antlers, Cane becomes more valuable. However, if you're going for early round kills like in Void Campaign, Melodic Strings is the way to go. It is not amazing on every hero, but a lot of heroes it packs a punch and is absolutely amazing. The next one we're gonna go with, I feel like I'm gonna put down in the D tier, is Magic Stone Sword. It feels bad to put it down here. Back in the day, it was one of the best artifacts. Gives attack, damage reduction, and control immunity. Sadly, because of the interaction between Fiona, Delacium back in the old days, shields were too overpowered. They nerfed shields and they nerfed this at the same time. Essentially, it's really weird. If you take damage equal to more than 100% your HP bar, it doesn't do its effect that limits the damage to only 25% of your HP. Really, really weird. You'd think it would still work nowadays and be amazing, but it just doesn't work the way it's supposed to, which is why it gets bumped down so far. Next one, last offensive artifact, is Punisher of Immortal. So this one right here used to be one of the best ones in the game. Crit, and attack. It has a special effect when you do crit. It does bonus damage. Nowadays, it doesn't have energy, so Melodic Strings is just better. And a lot of times, you don't even need the crit chance anymore, so kind of falls maybe even to a tier lower than that. It's very niche, not really an artifact you use anymore. If you have some, cool. If you don't worry about it. The last one we're going to be talking about is Snowheart. This one does have some kind of limited uses based on what game modes you're participating in. You'll see even on our main account, we use it occasionally to slow enemies down if we can get our heroes faster. If you're in chapters 3, chapters 4, it's very effective to slow the enemy team down, and it's very effective to slow the enemy team down in PvP. Besides that, not really that much. So what do you guys think? Would you change the order of any of these artifacts? If you do, leave a comment down below. Let me know your reasoning why. I love to hear all your discussions. I think I got them all in here. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Uh-oh. I might have missed an artifact. I did. Kind of important one right there. Somehow I didn't have a splendid version of it. So it didn't get stuck in there. It's Rui Scepter. It's gonna look a little different on here, but it's still a very strong artifact. You're gonna have uses for it like Lord of Fear Aspen and Aspen Dungeon. Heck, even Lord of Fear Aspen in Void Campaign. Heck, you can throw it on a Therapist Blood Betty if you kind of need the extra crowd control. Still has some uses, just not as strong as it previously was. A lot of times your crowd controllers are going to be using energy feed type artifacts nowadays and not a Rui Scepter, but it still has some uses when it goes to Glittery, Radiant, and stuff. So let me know what you guys think. Hopefully you guys enjoy this one. Glad I got that before we ended this right here, and I'll see you guys next time.